When the holiday season rolls around, many of us crave dishes that are comforting, flavorful, and balanced, especially when we aim to eat healthily without sacrificing taste. One of the most beloved components of a traditional holiday meal is stuffing, the rich, aromatic bread-based side dish filled with savory herbs, vegetables, and often meats. But this year, many home cooks look for plant-based alternatives that deliver the same smiling satisfaction around the table. That's where sage and mushrooms come in, joining forces to create an earthy vegan stuffing that satisfies even the most die-hard stuffing of. The magic begins with that savory, herbal scent of fresh sajids, slightly peppery, paired with meaty mushrooms like cremina shiitake or portobello. You build layers of umami richness that make the dish substantial, yet light and nourishing. First, a reflection on why sage and mushrooms make such an ideal pair in vegan stuffing. Mushrooms, particularly varieties like cremini or shiitake, offer a deep, savory base, reminiscent of brown meat, when properly with a little olive oil. Their moisture content, when cooked down, creates juice that blends beautifully into bread cubes. Meanwhile, sage introduces herbal brightness and a hint of citrusy pine aroma that lightens and elevates the dish. Together, they form a classic holiday profile while keeping things plant-based and wholesome. This stuffing also leans into whole grain or gluten-free bread options, vegetables like onions, celery, and carrots, vegetable broth, and optional nuts or dried fruit for texture and sweet contrast. You might add chopped walnuts or pecans, dried cranberries or apricots, perhaps a splash of white wine or apple cider vinegar. The key is layering flavors thoughtfully to ensure each forkful pops with contrast and complexity. In the kitchen, you start by drying bread cubes overnight, or toasting them lightly in the oven to create an absorbent base. That dosanti become mushy. While bread dries, slice onions, celery, carrots, and chop mushrooms and sage. Heat olive oil in a large skillet and cook onions, carrots, and celery until translucent and sweet. Add garlic, then mushrooms, the chopped sage leaves, salt, pepper, and maybe a pinch of red pepper flakes. Let mushrooms brown and their juices evaporate slightly so that deepening flavors develop. After vegetables are rich and fragrant, deglaze the pan with a bit of vegetable broth and scrape up the brown bits. Then toss in bread cubes, toss gently, and gradually add more broth until the mixture is moist but not soggy. Stir in optional nuts or dried fruit, transfer to a baking dish, cover with foil and bake until golden and crisp on top. What makes this stuffing so satisfying is not just taste but also its ability to adapt. Use gluten-free bread to accommodate dietary needs. Swap out mushrooms or use mixed wild mushrooms for earthier notes. Add fresh herbs like parsley, thyme, rosemary, or marjoram alongside sage for nuanced flavor layers. For richness, stir in a swirl of plant-based butter or vegan butter before baking. Serve with roasted vegetables, vegan gravy, cranberry sauce, and you have a centerpiece side dish that feels festive, wholesome, and intentional. Beyond mere stuffing, this dish fits evolving lifestyle values: plant-based, whole foods, mindful ingredients. Holidays often shift us toward indulgence, but this recipe offers nourishment and comfort in balanced harmony. The scent of sage warming your kitchen, mushrooms sizzling to meaty texture, and bread crisping into golden crunch, all combine into a festive experience without heaviness. It invites cooks and guests alike to enjoy food rooted in tradition, updated for modern conscious eating. And because it is vegan and full of herbs and vegetables, the dish pairs easily with other healthy mains like lentil loaf, roasted squash, tofu roast, or seared cauliflower steaks. Now imagine this, stuffing at the center of your holiday table, packed in a hollowed roasted pumpkin, or served alongside a vegan roast, accented with fresh sage sprigs and a sprinkling of chopped toasted nuts. The aroma alone brings guests closer, curious and excited, and within each bite, the interplay of chewy bread, earthy mushroom, herbaceous sage, crunchy nuts, or sweet dried fruit, with mellow broth, moistened texture, gives a timeless mouthful. It feels indulgent without guilt. It delights without heaviness. As we consider the bigger picture, holiday meals are moments of connection and caring. Offering guests a dish like this shows intention. You care about flavor, tradition, health, and inclusivity. Everyone, including those who follow vegan or plant-based diets, gets a dish crafted with love. Using sage and mushrooms ensures depth, warmth, and nostalgia, while eliminating animal products. The stuffing can be prepped a day ahead, baked just before serving, freeing up oven space and reducing stress. For hosts, short on time, mushrooms can be chopped in advance and refrigerated. Even the bread cubes can be toasted or dried ahead of time. Also, vegan stuffing doesn't need to be sidelined. In fact, it can be the star. Picture serving portions in small cast irons, garnished with rosemary sprig and paprika for color. Placing individual servings, center stage, or offer family style on a big platter, giving guests a generous scoop. The visual appeal: golden bread, flecks of green sage, Brown mushrooms, maybe bits of cranberry red makes the dish irresistible. If you want to boost nutrition, opt for whole grain or sprouted bread, more vegetables, and swap in liquid nutritional yeast or miso for extra umami. For flavor variety, add fennel seeds or caraway for aromatic twist, but always keep sage as the anchor herbal flavor. It's what gives this stuffing that classic holiday identity. Let's break down some helpful tips for best results. Use quality, preferably day-old or lightly toasted bread. Slight staleness enables better absorption of broth without sogginess. Chop ingredients uniformly so cooking is even and texture balanced. Mushrooms until nicely browned and slightly shrunk to concentrate flavor. Add sage toward end of 2, preserve its aroma, but allow time for infusion. Adjusts broth gradually. You want moist stuffing, not soup. Bake in a casserole dish with foil cover at first, then uncovered at end to crisp top. Add toppings late and bake if you include nuts, toasting them rather than burning. Season incrementally, taste, and adjust. Salt, pepper, and herbs. Beyond the savory depth, the aromatic sage acts as a digestive aid, loved historically for calming indigestion. Combined with mushrooms, fiber, vegetables, and whole grain bread, this stuffing offers something nourishing after a heavy holiday roast. You can balance the heavier, richer elements on the plate. Vegan gravy, roasted root veg with this lighter yet flavorful side. For a gluten-free variant, use cubed gluten-free artisan bread or gluten-free corn bread. The dish also adapts seasonally. In autumn, add roasted chopped pumpkin or butternut squash diced into the mix. In winter, toss in pomegranate arils or dried cherries for sweet brightness and festive color. In spring, experiment with fresh peas or asparagus tips, but sage and mushrooms remain the grounding core. These ingredients echo forest floor aromas, evoking cozy warmth ideal for holiday gatherings. And they pair beautifully with bold sides like vegan nut roast, holiday lentil, and tree nut loaf, roasted root vegetable medley, caramelized butternut squash, green bean amandine, or vegan mashed cauliflower. Add vegan gravy infused with fresh herbs, and you have a complete holiday meal that feels elegant, satisfying, and mindful. This stuffing fits well into conscious cooking ethos too. Plant-based, minimal waste, thoughtful sourcing, and herb garden synergy. You can harvest sage from a home garden, dry leftover stems, and repurpose them next year. You can compost vegetable scraps. You can even customize the bread-based sourdough, multigrain, rye, oat-based bread, all offering subtle flavor variation. Guests often ask the secret ingredient. Why does your stuffing taste so deep and rich without butter or meat? It's the mushroom's umami, the fresh sage's herbaceous punch, the caramelization from, and the careful layering of broth and aromatics. You can even add nutritional yeast or miso paste dissolved in broth to enhance savory depth for even more umami. A splash of white wine or apple cider vinegar, a handful of toasted pine nuts or pecans adds texture, contrast, and nutty flavor. Serving suggestion: scoop into a hollowed roasted acorn squash, sprinkle with fresh thyme, drizzle with extra virgin olive oil or vegan butter, pair with cranberry orange sauce on the side, garnish with roasted chestnuts or pomegranate seeds for holiday flair, or simply serve family style in a rustic cast iron pan, with sage sprigs laid on top. Let guests dig in. Then there's the sensory element. As the stuffing bakes, your kitchen fills with woodsy sage aroma, earthy mushroom scent, warm bread notes. Guests walk in, their curiosity piqued by these deep, herb-rich smells. They sit down and savor that first bite, the texture balance of crisp-topped bread and moist interior. The savory mushroom, fragrant herb, subtle sweetness from vegetables or dried fruit, nutty crunch. It's deeply satisfying yet clean on the palate because it's plant-based, vegetable, rich, and thoughtfully spiced. Finally, this stuffing becomes more than a dish, it becomes symbolic. It represents wholesome gatherings, modern tradition, inclusivity, mindful indulgence. When people ask for seconds, you feel pride in offering something that tastes indulgent, but is nourishing and ethical. And you've honored holiday traditions while making them accessible to everyone at your table. In summary, sage and mushrooms together create the perfect anchor for vegan holiday stuffing. Earthy, herb-filled, customizable, and deeply satisfying. With whole grain, bread, vegetables, optional nuts, or fruit, and simple cooking techniques, the result is a dish that feels festive, rooted in tradition, yet updated for healthy plant-based living. Whether you're cooking for vegans, vegetarians, flexitarians, or omnivores, this stuffing delights across dietary lines. So this season, embrace the elegant simplicity of sage and mushrooms, and cook up a vegan stuffing that becomes the star side dish of your holiday meal. 3 recipes. Recipe 1. Classic sage and mushroom vegan stuffing ingredients. 1 pound day-old whole grain bread cubes. 2 TBSP, olive oil. 1 cup chopped onion. 1 cup chopped celery. 1/2 cup chopped carrot. 12 ounces sliced cremini mushrooms. 1/2 cup chopped fresh sage. 2 TSP salt. 1 TSP black pepper. 2 cups vegetable broth. 1/4 cup chopped walnuts. 1/4 cup dried cranberries. Method: preheat oven to 180 degrees Celsius. Dry bread cubes, onion, celery, carrot and oil until soft. Add garlic if desired, then mushrooms. Cook until brown. Stir in sage, salt, pepper. Deglaze with broth, then toss bread cubes and nuts. Cranberries. Transfer to baking dish. Cover with foil 20-minute, uncover and bake 10-minute more for crisp top. Recipe 2. Wild mushroom and gluten-free sage stuffing. Ingredients: 8 cup gluten-free bread cubes, 3 TBS pea olive oil, 3 cups mixed wild mushrooms, 1 cup chopped shallot, 1/2 cup celery, 1/4 cup fresh sage, 2 TSP thyme, salt and pepper, 1.5 cups mushroom broth or vegetable broth, 2 TBSP nutritional yeast, optional, 1/2 cup chopped dried apricots. Method: same process as above, browning mushrooms heavily, adding nutritional yeast into broth for umami, stirring in apricots before baking. Recipe 3. Butternut squash and sage mushroom stuffing. Ingredients: 6 cup bread cubes, 2 cups diced roasted butternut squash, 2 TBSP oil, 1 cup chopped onion, 1 cup celery. 12. Oz mushrooms, 1/4 cup chopped sage, pinched nutmeg, 2 TSP salt, 1 TSP pepper, 2 cups broth. Optional, 1/4 cup toasted pecans. Method: roast squash ahead. Vegetables and mushrooms. Add sage and nutmeg, deglaze. Stir in bread and squash and pecans. Bake covered, then uncovered.